I heard Ange Postecoglou's name mentioned. Just tell me, what was that like being coached under him? Could you see this, what he's become? Could you see this? Was it instilled with him when he was a young up and coming manager?
Yeah, well, obviously previous to that, he coached South Melbourne, and then the Joeys, and then sort of, came involved in terms of Whittlesea Zebras. But then he obviously went on to coach Brisbane in terms of their era that they did have and the football that they did play. And I could see it from the start, to be honest with you, just in terms of his man management and his analysis of the game. But most importantly, to be able to motivate and get the best out of the players. He's able to do that. I feel like as if he has in terms of his player management, he's able to get the best out of players. But not only that, he's able to get the buy-in from the players too. I think that's a key aspect of him. And obviously it was interesting in terms of the fallout that he did have with the Socceroos. There was a lot of things in and around that, which was interesting. But now he's been able to go on to bigger, better things. And, the Socceroos are sort of struggling at the moment, to be honest with you. I don't think in terms of on a global scale, we haven't been the same since the golden era. But in terms of on football and being able to make sure that we've been able to get the results that we do need, I don't think we've been the same since Ange, to be fair.
Yeah. I think he was he was probably one of the best footballing exports from this country to Europe, both player and manager. I think he's like both players and managers included. I think he's exceptional, and I do think he'll manage a top Premier League team or a top European team at some stage.
I've heard. I know he's been able to do it in Japan, obviously. Now in Scotland, if he goes close to undefeated this season, I'm not saying this season. I hope that he does stay at Celtic for a little while. But I've heard rumours that there are top four clubs talking in the EPL.
Yeah. I've heard a similar rumor about one club in particular that might be losing their manager in a couple of seasons' time, if not at the end of the next season. I think we're talking about the same club, Jules.
Yeah. So it's a very big club. So I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but obviously the talk that it's there. And to be honest with you, mate, in terms of players, you've had players from Australia being able to play for, not in terms of big clubs, obviously Kuhl at Liverpool and whatnot, Duke at Leeds during that period too, to a certain extent. But managers, very difficult. But if Ange is able to do it, I think it'll open up quite a few doors, to be honest with you, for a lot of Australians.
Yeah, 100%. And on a personal level, it's good to see a Greek Australian take that step. So I've always had an affiliation towards him. But whenever, obviously he was at Raw and then he went to Victory and then the Socceroos, I thought that natural progression into Japan and then Europe, I just see his career skyrocketing. And he's still relatively young. He's got some years on his side. He's got some learning to do still. There's no reason why he can't be one of the top managers in Europe in maybe half a decade's time or perhaps even sooner. So it's going to be very interesting to see where his career goes from here.
Yeah. I honestly think he'll get the opportunity. I don't know how well he'll go. Obviously, we'll see. Time will tell. But he'll get the opportunity. No doubt.
Yeah, but he's also got to pick the right job as well, because he needs to be smart in where he goes and when he goes.
Yeah, I think he sort of needs. In saying that too, you go to a club like Celtic, they're big in their own right in terms of their history. And I think he even said it. I've actually watched quite a few interviews. From post game, even obviously before when he did sign for Celtic as coach, you sort of look with those kind of clubs, you sort of do have to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
But I think his views on how the game needs to be played and whatnot, and in terms of the focus on where the club wants to be headed, the committee and the board of the club, they need to be aligned with his views. And not stagnate or differ. So I think that's the main thing that needs to happen and what he needs to take into consideration. But I'm sure he's a smart person, so I have no doubt that he'll make the right decision.
Yeah, hopefully for his sake and for football in Australia's sake that he does, because